Hey everyone, welcome. It's Friday. You know what that means. That means it's time for me to do another live draw. A live draw that may actually include drawing. Unlike last week, which was basically me just talking for an hour. You know, that happens sometimes. Oh man. Where was I? Where was I last week? What was I doing? Let's get that music lowered a little bit. All right, so serious face on. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. Okay, it's been a long week. So last Friday, I was talking about how I was about to start scene 28. And I didn't start it. And I think I just wasn't ready mentally to jump in. And then in the days that followed Friday of last week, I've made it through like 75% roughly of scene 28, which is pretty awesome. On my storyboard, I've got scene 28 broken up into like 4 little sections, and I'm on the 4th section. So I'm kind of on the way out of scene 28. And so what did I leave for tonight? I like to leave a little bit of something for me to work on, usually something that's semi-mindless, so I can be able to focus on, talking with you a little bit. Also, because I don't like to sit here and make a bunch of decisions during a live draw. I like to just sort of have a task for me to go to. So I left some in-betweening for myself tonight, and let me take a look here and make sure I've got on my timeline here, and make sure I can take a look at what I've got here. Yeah, so he's going to be... So he's going to be... Okay, so new guy is going to be walking out from behind the door to the warehouse. And so I did all of my keyframes earlier in the week, which means I don't have to sit here and like figure out too much. I just need to basically have him do the action. And so the beginning keyframe I'll be working from tonight is this one here. And it's kind of hard to tell from this just still image, but this here is a door. And then this is a new guy's head right here, and then his little hand right there holding onto the door, and that's him sticking his little foot and leg forward as he's preparing to walk in a this way direction. And then my other keyframe that I'll be working off of tonight is this keyframe, where you can see his leg further out, you can see his hand further up, and his head further behind the door. So these 2 frames are going to be what I work off of tonight to... you can kind of see me do that. That's kind of cool, right? So he's moving his foot. Yeah. So that's what I'll be working on tonight. Doing some in-betweens, doing some midpoints, and then some smaller in-betweens in between the midpoint. Yeah, that's basically it. So that's my little project. I'll be working on that in a few minutes. Just wanted to kind of show that. I'll probably start very soon because I'm sort of feeling the itch to get this moving. But you know what? I will also show you the storyboard that I'm working off of tonight. I think I showed this last week too. So this is the board that I'm working on. Hey, happy Friday, Samantha. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. So like I was saying earlier, this frame, or this storyboard panel, this storyboard panel, this storyboard panel, and this storyboard panel are all scene 28. I know it doesn't say scene 28 above it. It says 31. But they're all scene 28. And I'm on this part, basically, right now. So I'm at the end part of scene 28, which is great. Earlier I may have mentioned this last week. I don't remember, but my goal, I think I said this a few months ago. My goal for the rest of the year was to see if I could get to the warehouse by the end of the year. Well, here we are in late November, and I've made it to the warehouse, which is awesome. I have new guy entering the warehouse. So now the rest of the year, the question is just going to be how far can I push things into the warehouse. The warehouse is a very, very big sequence. I think it's the biggest sequence in the whole cartoon lengthwise. But as far as like complications are concerned, I'm not 100% when I say this, but I'm just going to sort of speculate. I think the sequence that I just completed was the most complicated, the most layers, the most characters on screen at once, that kind of a thing. There may be a small contender at the very end of the cartoon when I'm doing this like camera zooming out thing, and I have what will essentially be a bit of a crowd scene, but it's going to be pretty quick, I think. I don't think it'll be on screen all that long, and it's a very, very small part of the cartoon. So I'm going to maintain that the most complicated part of this whole thing probably happened already. I'm thinking. Now, I could always go and complicate things and make them trickier. I just don't see that happening because the warehouse is going to be an interesting space where I don't think I'm going to have as many defined backgrounds. It's going to be more up to the imagination, and there's really only two characters on screen together at any given point in time. And a lot of the shots that I'm looking at, they're not together all the time. So we'll see. We'll see how complicated the warehouse will be. Thank you so much for the heart over to Shay Cat on Facebook, I think. Yep, on Facebook. Thank you so much. Got a couple of viewers on Facebook right now and one on YouTube. I'm so glad I finally know how to check that out, which is kind of awesome. If you haven't already subscribed to me on YouTube, please take this moment to do that now, and feel free to give the video a thumbs up there because, I'm trying to get other people to know that I am doing these videos. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. I'm going to be working on the in-betweens for the last part of scene 28. And then we'll see if I get this done by next Friday. Maybe I'll be done with scene 28 by Thanksgiving. I don't know. That could be a goal for myself, is try to complete scene 28 by the end of the month. At which point we've got scene 29, and I don't think scene 29 is going to take me all that long. And part of the reason I'm saying that is because there's going to be two components of scene 29. This is a kind of a zoomed out shot of the warehouse, and that is new guy, and he will be walking in this direction. Now, making a character that small appear to be walking really won't be all that. I mean, it'll be a bit of a challenge, but it won't be all that challenging because he's so small. So I really can't draw like too much detail. And because the drawing is so small on the paper, it's relatively quick for me to go and make a little tiny sketch and then go on to the next one and on to the next one. The problem with the section I'm working on now, and part of why it's taking longer, or why it could take longer, is because a character that's taking up this much space on the page, this drawing is not the best example because you can't see very much of him, but as he steps out into this space, there's a lot more of him. And so each drawing takes me longer because I have to figure out like where he is all over this large piece of paper. So any scene where the character is kind of taking up a lot of the page, those take me a little bit longer to do, just because it's like longer to figure out the whole shape on the, but if it's a tiny little speck of a character moving across the screen, that's not going to be all that big of a deal. Now, that scene, I did decide to add something that is not in my boards. I'm going to add a bat living somewhere in the top of the warehouse ceiling area, and I don't know where he's going to come out from. He's either going to come out from like off camera, or maybe I'll have him hanging here, or something's going to happen, or maybe he'll come in from this side. and then he'll flap his wings and flap his wings, and then I'll have him like come closer to the camera like this, like that, and then before you know it, his black silhouette will be like taking up the entirety of the camera. At which point I'll just cut to the next scene from all black. So it's kind of a fun way to do a transition. I don't have that in my boards, but I decided that I want to add that. I think it'll be super interesting. And that's part of what's happened this whole past summer is as I worked my way through the tech gal sequence, I found myself elaborating things, making characters behave and act more dramatically with, you know, bigger expressions and things like that. And that's fine. It just made everything take a lot longer to do. So, you know, anyway, I think I'm ready to get started. But as always, if you're somebody who's watching this and doing something creative at home, feel free to chime in. Let me know what you're working on. I'd love to hear about it. And if you just feel like asking me questions about animation or anything that you see behind me, I don't know, you feel free to chime in and I'll do my best to get to your questions. All right, let me go ahead and get my situations ready to go. I'm going to close this door to that room, and then I'm going to turn my camera around, and we're going to get going here. So it's time to start doing a little in-betweening, make up for lost time from last week when I didn't do any drawing. But that's okay. That happens sometimes. That does happen sometimes. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up over from Facebook. Someone named Adular Gate. I don't know who you are, but thank you for chiming in. I really appreciate that. You may notice on the bottom of my screen it says become a channel member. This is referring to YouTube. I would love for more folks to check out channel memberships. It's something I just started doing. I think it would be really nice to have you join me. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that, unless you ask me a question about it. I hadn't done any drawing today because I was at work. And so because I haven't done any drawing today, I haven't been warming up. So the first drawing I do whenever I haven't warmed up is always just a little bit looser so I can get myself sort of engage my muscle memory and start to find a rhythm. I've had a real difficult time in the past couple weeks, ever since October, ever since I took that week off to visit with family. I found that it's been really hard for me to get back into some kind of a rhythm. This week I finally started to feel like the rhythm was returning to me, but man, it has been really, really hard for me to get back, and I don't know what it is. I find myself being very easily distracted. I don't know. I know we had a major election, so I mean, there's been world events and things that have been, I guess, distracting. Just trying to find myself some sort of way to not feel too bad about it. Plus, I've been working a lot recently, and that's kind of a hard thing to keep in balance, is like when you've got a day job. But, you know, it's all about balance, is what I say. as I'm doing these sections, I'm like recognizing things that I've done in the earlier parts of the cartoon, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing that again. It's kind of interesting to notice when I'm maybe repeating something. It's not bad necessarily to repeat something, but I do try to limit that. I feel like it can be, in my mind, it can be sort of similar to a speech impediment, or in the case of English writing, it can be some kind of a weird verbal crutch that you have. Except in this case, instead of being a verbal crutch, it's a visual crutch. And so I'm just trying to keep aware of anything that I'm doing that stinks of that. And it's not like it's like a horrible thing, but it is something that I kind of have always noticed as a writer, but also now as an artist, or I should say now as an animator. I've been an artist forever, but I guess I've always noticed it as an artist as well. Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. When I was a caricature artist years ago, I remember there was a guy that I worked with. I don't even remember his name. So even if I could tell you his name, I can't because I don't remember what it was. Or I should say, even if I wanted to tell you, I couldn't tell you because I don't know his name anymore. But this guy I used to work with doing caricatures, a couple of us artists used to kind of notice that all his caricatures he would draw of other people, it was like he was drawing himself over and over and over again. Like the attributes that his caricatures had of different people, they just looked like they were versions of him. It was very weird, and that's an example of a visual redundancy. When I'm writing something, like something that's going to be paragraphs and paragraphs long, I try not to repeat too many words. I try to find better ways to say things, and I just think that makes something more interesting to listen to or to read in that case. So I've never been a fan of repeating oneself too much, although I definitely repeat myself just in daily life. I definitely say the same kinds of things, and I don't love that either, but I don't know. I guess I could just stop talking if I have nothing new to say. But eventually you're going to repeat yourself. That's just what happens, right? So anyway, creatively, I think it's a little bit different. Creatively, you're making something that's going to be like a statement. And in that case, when you're making a statement, whether it be a book or a film or a comic strip or whatever, I do think it's important to try to be interesting and to not say the same thing too many times, unless that's what you're going for. You're going to hear me repeat myself on this live stream because I'm just kind of riffing off myself right now. So that's a thing. All right, let's make sure this is actually doing what I want it to do. Yeah, looking good. Okay. All right, so actually that should go off screen just a bit. So I need to fix that. Let's see. It goes that way. Let's see. All right, that works. Cool, cool. So yeah, I'll just turn this up a little bit. There you go. Take this one out here for now. Let's switch that song up. Yeah, let's go with this. Hey, cool. I'm glad, Shay. Yeah, that's some good music. I agree. Let's see who we got. Oh, I see. Okay. What's that? Interesting. Didn't know I could look at that number. I love when I see a new stat. So after I do a drawing, depending on how I'm wanting the motion to go, let me slower that a little bit. Depending on how smooth I want the motion to be, or depending where I want the smoothness to be, that's what determines where I will put more emphasis of in-betweens. So in other words, like if I want the beginning of a transition or a movement to take longer and be smoother, that I will focus on that section, and I'll just do like a lot of in-betweens in that section, and then it'll move kind of gradually, but like a constant movement. And then if I want there to be a faster movement, then in those areas I do less in-betweens, so that it gets from here to here to here a lot quicker, because there's not a bunch of drawings to play in between. It just like bam, bam, bam. So it looks like it's moving faster. So in this particular section, I want him to sort of slowly start to lift his leg forward. And then as the leg gets closer to the camera, for it to go faster. So as it gets closer to camera, I'll do less and less in-betweens. And that should create the motion. It's one of those things where I know it well enough now to kind of know what steps to take, but I do feel like I'm always learning something after I scan all my drawings, and then I go, oh, okay, maybe that would be a different look if I changed this, this, and this. So there's still enough about it that I'm trial and erroring, and that's not a bad thing. I think over time I'll probably get less and less of that. But as of right now, I'm still trying stuff out and seeing how it works. And what's nice is I'm at a point now where I've done 2.5 minutes worth of animation. And so at this point, if I think something is going to go a certain way, I can pretty much make it go that way. There's not a lot of guesswork anymore. But there is like occasional things that I'm still going, I don't know if this will work, but I'll try it. Which is good. It's like a puzzle that I have to constantly solve. Anyway. Samantha says, it's a puzzle you made and then also have to solve yourself. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Is that weird? That's why I often feel like I am the arbiter of my own insanity. Because it literally is that. Like, nobody is telling me that anything has to look a certain way. I'm literally just doing this to myself. Or I'm doing it for myself. You could also say that. Not at all. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. But that really is what this is. I really am like creating my own madness. What would I do if I wasn't creating my own madness? I'd be dealing with somebody else's madness. That doesn't sound really good. Maybe that's just what we are doing in life. We're either choosing our own madness or somebody else's madness. Oh, well, now we're getting deep. So sorry. I won't let it happen again. Hey, thanks to Hallie Swiger over on Facebook for the like on this video. I appreciate that. Oh, I'm glad you like the music. I've had this album since college. Long time. Trying to see, I'm trying to get him to flip. Thanks. It's not working exactly the way that I want it to. You can kind of get the gist of it, right? You can kind of get the gist of it. It's probably going to be where I go tonight, I think. I might call it there and just see how it plays in my timeline. Let's see. So the next point in the next point in this timeline is, or this scene. Just lower the music a little bit. Is going to be this drawing here. This is after he puts his foot all the way down, and then I've got this drawing here where he's moving past the door, and then here where he's moving past the door even further. So if the ones I did tonight work out the way I think they will, then what I'll be doing next will be going from this frame here to this frame here. So it's going to be like this foot down and going forward until you can't see his foot. So that should be interesting because it involves his hand and the rest of his body. Oh, Tam is here. Tam, haven't seen you in forever. It looks like you're trying to put some kind of emoji or something on there, and I can't see it on my video stream. I'm going to assume you put a sticker or something. But nice to see you. So that's probably where I'll be next. I'm going to hold off on jumping into that tonight because I really want to scan the ones I did tonight and make sure that they all work before I move forward. But I got a pretty decent little number of in-betweens done tonight. Let me see how many I did. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 in-betweens done, assuming that they work. So I'll probably scan those and then decide from there if I need even more. I can't imagine I will, but I might. And then if I don't need more, then it'll be on to the rest of the walking through the door scene, which is scene 28. So we'll see what happens. Now, next week is Thanksgiving, and that would be, I believe, Thursday. And then that would make Friday Black Friday. At this point in time, I do feel a shameless promotion plug coming. And that is, if you don't already have a copy of my big old book of comic books or comic strips called Everything Must Go, I suggest you pick it up, because in that book, there is a copy of 'Twas the Day After Turkey, which is a illustrated poem I did back in 2010. And it was based on, what it's like to work on Black Friday. And the story is written in the same way that the Once Upon Twas the Night Before Christmas poem, the original poem. So I based it on that, and then I did a bunch of drawings based off of the Retail Sunshine characters. And that was the first book of Retail Sunshine comics that I made available for purchase. Was 'Twas the Day After Turkey. So if you don't already have a copy, I suggest you get one from bookpeople.com. If you do already have a copy, it's a great time to visit that part of the book and make it a annual tradition, checking out the Black Friday madness right around the time that Black Friday is actually happening. Black Friday used to be a much bigger event than it is now. It really was a big moment in time, and people would just wait outside in crazy lines, and they would wait outside for days. It was really crazy. I'm sure there's some of that still goes on now, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But anyway, so that's going to be next week, and I will probably still do a live stream next week, to make sure you guys don't eat too much turkey and get all that tryptophan in you and fall asleep. I hope you'll come and hang out with me, and we'll see how far I get into scene 28 by next week. Will I be done with it? I don't know. We'll see. But my goal is now to complete scene 28 by the end of the month. So that gives me, a week? It gives me a little over a week and 1 day to complete this scene. Stranger things have happened, so maybe I'll be able to pull that off. Anyway, really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thanks so much for supporting my channel and everything that I do. As always, if you have any questions or anything, please let me know, or comments, and I'd love to hear from you guys. It's always fun to be able to have some back and forth conversation. It used to be an event, says Samantha. Yeah, it really, really did. It was a big friggin' deal. And also insane. Yes, it was an insane event. That's what compelled me to make a illustrated book about it. So, yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate you being here. It's been an hour. It's been fun hanging out with you. Got a little bit of drawing done, a little bit of chatting with you, and I hope to see you next week. Have a great weekend. Take care.